Hi everyone, Sherman Chin here today, and I'm going to talk a bit about the Snapdragon X Elite. I'm going to base my discussion of this YouTuber. I think he's Hardware Canucks, as in Canadian Canucks. So there we go. And some of the things he talked about is after the updates to all the laptops that he's testing. I will link his channel down below so you can just check it out, but my whole point is just to discuss why I still think that the Snapdragon X Elite sucks, and it has been proven after all the updates. Okay, so check it out.
Went from this to this. Now, how that aligns with the rest of the competition is another matter altogether, and I'll get to that a bit later, but what this shows is the so-called Copilot Plus PCs were launched as quickly as possible to meet an imaginary demand for on-device AI. Their development and optimization are still ongoing, and we're just being used as beta testers. Plus, a lot of their supposedly big features like recall, for instance, it's not even here yet. So a month later, have all the updates been enough to finally deliver?
Long story short, obviously the updates did not deliver, and the Snapdragon X Elite unfortunately still does suck, and I still see that Windows on ARM will hit the way that the Windows RT, which was Windows on ARM that Microsoft tried many years before and failed. So I still see it heading that way with the Snapdragon X Elite. Qualcomm did not change that much. The reason being that is because it, well, maybe it does address one small particular niche, which is for people who just want a laptop that can last whole day for them to browse the internet, for them to watch YouTube. It does serve that Chromebook, Google Chromebook need, like a substitute for the Google Chromebook. But other than that, it's not that great in performance, and that's one of the major issues. So let's just take a listen to more of this video.
No way right now to know exactly how much the X Elite chip draws, but we can still make some educated comparisons. Now for that, we ended up using an inline USB-C power tester, which is something we've actually used for more than a year now,
so
to cross-check.
I'm going to scroll back a bit. So what I'm saying here is that there is a problem with the power consumption testing, because Qualcomm has actually not allowed users to access it. So just check
But
this
there is
out.
a problem. You see, after talking to a few developers of hardware monitoring software, it seems like Qualcomm is actively limiting the amount of sensor information third-party apps have access to. Now, maybe they're trying to protect their secret sauce or something, but a few software tools that claim to track power on a system level are often widely inaccurate, since they use an inferencing model rather than sensor-based measurements. Unfortunately, until those sensor readouts get opened up, there's absolutely no way right now to know exactly how much.
Now you can see why Qualcomm sucks, right? Because if you're going to come up with something new like this, you're going to want developers to be able to support your product. So you're going to try to open source as much of it as possible, not try to hide much of the interface. And I think that is a huge problem for Qualcomm. Personally, I will not go for it. Let's just check out the power consumption testing. Okay, there we go.
Market. We see this all the time with Intel and AMD processors, and even GPUs as well. If a laptop has the necessary cooling technology or the cooling headroom, a manufacturer can choose to run its hardware at higher power levels. You can actually see that with the two Intel Core Ultra 7 155Hs here. While the XPS sips back just 52 watts, the Yoga Pro 9 turns the dial to 11, running in at 87 watts. The MacBook Air, though, it just left us in awe. It needs only about half as much power as the most efficient Windows laptops here. And that ultra power spectrum allowed for a completely passive design, so there aren't any fans messing with your ears. The regular Windows devices here tend to get loud, sometimes really.
So you can see that the MacBook M3 still outperforms the Snapdragon X Elite laptops. So yeah, it's pretty sucky then. Let's just speed ahead. If you guys want to check out the video, you can actually check it out with the link down below. I'm just gonna skip ahead to parts that I think that are important, okay, such as the performance and battery of the laptop. I'm just going to skip this advertisement here. Okay.
Power source for most of their lives. So what happens to performance when you decide to run these things on battery and when you're asked to run a bunch of apps? Well, to find out, we drained each laptop's battery to 75% of its battery capacity, set it to its higher power mode initially, and then ran our tests. And the clear winner in something like Photoshop is the MacBook Air M3, which doesn't lose one iota of performance when running on battery. Meanwhile, all the Windows laptops get negatively impacted, but to varying degrees.
So see, the problem is that with the Windows laptops, whenever you put them on battery, their performance goes down. The M3 doesn't lose any performance at all. So Apple still wins here in this regard. So let's just talk about gaming now.
AAA games at high frame rates, it is still important, and I guess it's an important feature for any device. If someone wants to just switch gears away from work and play a little bit of CS2, they should be able to, right? And that's where these Snapdragon laptops have a bit of a bad rap, and with good reason too. There's always going to be issues with emulation. Windows on ARM prevents some anti-cheat software from loading, and there's a whole list of other hiccups as well. The Adreno drivers are partly to blame because a lot of the issues were encountered, it can be traced right back to immature software support. And if we look at GPU drivers, well, every company has had issues at some point, proving that you can have great hardware, but that doesn't mean anything if the software is not up for its task. And I know you've heard nightmares about gaming on these things, and well, I mean, most of those are true, or at least were true, right?
So there you go. If you talk about gaming, well, these are not the laptops for you, okay? The Snapdragon X Elite, no way. But wait for the upcoming AMD Ryzen 9 AI and the Intel Lunar Lake. So I'm just going to jump to the conclusion by these guys.
All three of these are actually very good at being everyday usage devices, provided you can avoid or somehow get over the compatibility hiccups or find workarounds around compatibility hiccups. That's what I meant to say. I think Qualcomm created a series of chips that can run with very, very good x86 based processors, and that is something that should be celebrated. The real problem here is pricing. A lot of the shortcomings could be overlooked if these had been priced under $1,000, but no. I mean, Microsoft thought people were ready to pay a premium for AI features, and while the jury is still out on the popularity of Copilot Plus PCs, I'm willing to bet we'll see all of these laptops get heavily, and I mean heavily, discounted very soon. Fine.
Yep, so I completely agree with this YouTuber that, you know, the Snapdragon X Elite is gonna get really cheap, or these laptops are gonna get really cheap because Qualcomm and Microsoft has just pushed them, overhyped them, and it's just ridiculous. Nobody's gonna buy them. It's gonna be a very niche market, okay? Not nobody, but a very niche market's gonna buy them to replace their Chromebooks, to basically have a laptop with them when they just want to do very trivial stuff. But anybody who needs performance and battery life, well, they're going to head for the AMD and AMD Ryzen 9 AI, the Strix Point that's coming out in a few weeks, plus the Intel Lunar Lake that's more battery life oriented, that's coming out in September. Alright guys, if you like videos like this, please do click subscribe, click that notifications bell, comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Before I go, check out this Kaiser Beyond. It's an excellent knife that you can use for fidgeting and for display, and you can buy it for 5% off from thomastools.com.my with my discount code Shenchen. Alright, thank you so much guys. See you in the next one. Take care now. Bye.